Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and I'm super excited to share with you 3 big box games from 25th Century Games. I am not just going to talk about them, I'm also going to rank them in what I appreciate about the games, maybe what my favorite game is, and why, because these games are challenging to me specifically, and I'll tell you why. So, I played Blazon and Gartenbau at Gen Con last year and found them to be just uninteresting or lackluster, or I just was surprised by how much I went, huh. And so they really kind of fell flat for me. So I got to revisit them, and yes, my opinion changed on one of those games after I played it again and again. Then the third game is Raw, which is a re-release. Reiner Knizia from over 20 years ago, so this is an oldie but a goodie and a lot of people's favorite game. If you've seen my channel and other videos, you probably know Raw is not my favorite game. I would rather play Raw the dice game, to be honest. And so for me, Raw is a challenging game for me to enjoy. And I remember not liking it. Like, not just being like middling to it the way I felt a little bit about Blazon and Gartenbau, but actually like, no, I don't want to play it. Don't pull it out because I'm not going to have a good time. So revisiting these games and playing them again after a short amount of time or a long amount of time really helped me make a better judgment about these games. So I will tell you what my thoughts are about these 3 individual games that 25th Century Games has released this year, or most recently this year and in the previous year, and how I rank them in the order that I will play them in. So let's start off with my third favorite. This is going to start off my list here at the bottom. It doesn't mean I dislike it, but I would rather play the other 2 before I play this one. So I'm going to start off with Blazon. Now, Blazon I played and I went, I played a 3-player game at Gen Con, and I thought, okay, it's a whole bunch of, hullabaloo for very little payout. It was an individual puzzle of placing shield cards with different images, colors, symbols, shapes in this puzzle pattern on your personal shield. And there is a little bit of a race feature because when players reach certain victory points when they score in-game, they're essentially moving closer to triggering the end of the game, but they also give other players bonuses as they cross those victory point thresholds. And when you play a card down, you can play it in one of 2 spaces, in the top part of your space or the bottom part, and then everything on that row has to be on the bottom part. And so there are only certain places to play symbols, colors, and shapes. So there's a lot of puzzling and figuring out, where am I going to put these cards? How am I going to arrange them? And why are you doing this? Because you are trying to achieve these global goals. And those are just public objectives that are selected from a stack of cards. And there's one from each of the 5. And you're going to play those out so that everyone knows these are points. And if you get there first, because you've accomplished that by gathering the right amount of symbols in your personal shield, you will be gaining the most victory points. And those are the points you score in-game. Now, you're either going to be drawing cards or playing cards on your turn, so a really simple basic mechanic. When I played it again, I did the solo game, and I was really excited to check out the solo, and I found it to be I didn't find it to be interesting or fun at all. I wasn't having fun. I understand that some games are just puzzles and you have to just figure out the most efficient path to be effective and to win the game, because the solo is a win or lose. It's not a ranking on how well you did on a scale. And I think that's a fine feature. I actually really like it. You win or you lose. But I just find the game to be a little boring. So for me, it's just meh. So I'm going to say it's more on the abstract side for me too. And sometimes when the abstract game mechanics don't grab me, the abstractness really pulls it away from me for my personal taste. So Blazon is where I'm going to start, and I'm going to move on to my next favorite, which is Raw. Now, I have to say that I remembered why I disliked this game so much, and I found that I was more capable now, having played games for a long time now. I'm going to say playing Euro style games since early 2000s is pretty much when I started playing Euro games. So 20 years. 20 years now. Oh my gosh. And I think when I first started, I was still just so competitive and I still just wanted to win, and I still got really hurt when luck didn't swing my way, and games were, I would say, more on the lucky side at the beginning. Like the games that I played when I was a kid, the American games, are mostly about rolling dice and moving and a lot of luck, drawing cards and stuff. So that would always rub me raw. And in Raw, there's just a lot of luck and timing, and if you can let that go, maybe you can enjoy the game, but I still find it hard to enjoy the game when you're winning or when you're losing. And the first time I played it, I got so soundly defeated with just the twist of this and the bit of that and the taking tile of this and the scoring of that, just running out of, the raw, that symbol where if you get to the end, you have a score right away and you're maybe not ready for it. And I found that was just like so frustrating, and I felt like I didn't have any control in the game. And this last time I played, which was nice to have a 2-player version or variant, because the reason we never played Raw again was because it's 3 to 5, the original game that we have, our Aaliyah shelf over here to my left. But the new game allows you to play with 2. I had a fine time playing with 2. I do think that the game probably still should be 3 to 5, so would not encourage a 2-player game of Raw. But I was on the winning side, and I was winning so hard that it was just yucky, and I didn't feel good, and I looked at my opponents, and I just felt bad, and he felt bad, and we all just felt bad, and it just wasn't fun. I love reaching in bags, and this one has a giant sack, a canvas bag that you reach in and you pull out all the tiles when you're drawing, and boy is that fun. But it's just, if you just time it wrong, and if the luck comes out where you do your scoring wrong and you're just outbeat by like one tile and you can't get the, set for this and you can't get the set for that, it just feels bad. In Raw, players are beautifying their civilization and area with all these wonderful buildings and monuments and tiles that you will draw from a bag and place out into the center display on your turn, or you will activate an auction. And when you do, you get last pick, which means everyone from the table, starting to that auction starter's left, will place out a tile or pass. And when you do that, you have one of your personal tiles in front of you that has a number on it. None of the numbers are the same, so that means one person's always going to be higher. So the first player, let's say they pass, second player says, I'll bid, they put out a 5. The next player can pass, or they have to bid a higher number than 5 to stay in the bid, and the auctioneer gets last grabs, essentially. And all of those numbers that you can bid with are face up, so players are strategically trying to push people into participating in the auction, or they're trying to see if they can nab something really great, pressing their luck or making somebody else press their luck. It's a really, really fascinating play of how many tiles can go out in the central display before someone triggers an auction, or if a raw tile is drawn, then an auction is automatically triggered. So that is the core mechanic, and players are adding these tiles to their personal display area, gaining victory points in a variety of ways, which is collecting, set collection. You also get, if you do this side, like the river, then you do the Nile, and you have to do like the river and the water at the same time if you want to actually get multipliers. So there are just tons of ways to score these tiles. So still very similar reaction, even though I was on, like winning side, losing side. I didn't like either side of it, and so I'm going to probably not necessarily be playing Raw anytime in the future unless you want a silly, fun, fast, lucky game and you have zero investment in it. And when I know going into a game I have zero investment, it's sometimes really hard for me to care and to try, because I feel like no matter what I do, it's not going to work out. But if you can go in that way, maybe Raw is for you, and maybe you can find a way to like strategically have fun with Raw despite some of the imbalance. So for me, Raw comes in and was a nice refresher for me to just remember what I was left with, because I was left with a feeling of why I didn't appreciate Raw, and now I know why, and I can deal with it so much better. So if Raw comes up and someone wants to play it, I will play it. As before, I would not. I mean, before I played it again, I would have said, no, I just don't want to play it. But now I'll play it. I'll play it. And I'll just know, I'll bid, we'll go for it. It's okay. It's all good. So that is Raw, which means, drum roll, that the game I really changed my mind about is Gartenbau. Gartenbau, I will say, is on me. When I played this at Gen Con, I taught it wrong. I learned the rules, I missed one step, and that one step really made a difference. And we played it correctly, and I played it with more players, in addition to smaller amount of players, because normally I play 2 players, but played it up 3 and 4, and it really sings. This game is a nice, tight 1-hour strategy game of building, 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 and it's in 3 stages. And so what you're doing in this game is you are grabbing these little seedlings, and the seedlings are in this rondelle, and I love a rondelle, and I think the rondelle here works really well to give you a lot of like, it's very constricted, and so you can't really move that far without paying resources. And there are 2 resources. There's suns and then there's waters. You are trying to grab these seedlings, which are 2x1 tiles, to play into your personal player area, which is just on top of the table. After you've built seedlings in a particular configuration, you can cover them with another tile, and that tile is looking for seedlings to be in a particular configuration. So once you build those on top, so now you've got layer 1, then you've got layer 2, and then you're going to build on top of that your personal set of goals. And every player is going to get a unique set of these flowers that you get to plant on top of everything. And those are going to ask for whatever it needs to be underneath it, which are going to be the second layer tiles that you, of course, needed the first layer of tiles to build with. So then you're going to have victory point scoring conditions, and that's what you're building towards. And the rondelle works incredibly well based on whether you are playing a tile or taking a tile and or gaining resources. It's just a nice, clever game, and I thought it was just super dynamic and just enough tension with the public, all the public seedlings and the public tiles that you're vying for. And the faster people go through the stage 2 tiles, the more expensive they get. So if you're there first, you're going to get a cheaper one, but it's not necessarily going to give you as many victory points if you leave it uncovered at the end. So at the end, you've got this beautiful little Gartenbau. You've got your garden of flowers that you've been building this whole time, and it's lovely. I will say it was great to return to it. It was great to, again, on my part, play it correctly, but I thought that it actually was a really, really nice game, a solid game, nice balance of personal and public interaction whenever you have player to player, and also your personal kind of puzzle area. And I like the scoring that you are in charge of. You understand what you're going for the whole game, and you can score what your tiles say, and that's it. And that's what you get to score. It's just clean. It's clean and it's smart, and I really like it. It's beautiful, great pieces. And just a lovely, lovely game to play. And it's a great way to end my ranking of these 3 games that I've got. Bigger boxes from 25th Century Games. Yes, Raw is that reprint, but I just was so excited to return to these, and I had a great time playing all 3 and ranking them for you. So thanks for staying tuned, and I will see you next time. Keep playing games, people. All right, bye.